Allegra Dixon could remember perfectly the day her mother left. She was 6 years old. Anna, the housekeeper, was off. Allegra's mother, Isabel, usually slept late, and her father, Bradley, was home from one of his long trips. She had learned early on not to bother them and to make as little noise as possible. She was tiptoeing down the stairs to get something to eat for breakfast, and she heard her parents talking in the kitchen. They were speaking loud enough for her to hear them before she entered the room. She wasn't sure whether to go in or not, so she stopped to listen. Her parents didn't shout. They were polite to each other. When Allegra's father wasn't home, her mother laughed a lot. Allegra thought her laughter sounded like bells. Isabel was exquisite. She had long red hair, green eyes, and a beautiful face. She wore fancy dresses and jewelry and perfume that smelled delicious. When Allegra's father was away, her mother went out almost every evening, and the housekeeper would stay with her until her mother came home. They lived in Washington, D.C., in a house in Georgetown. Isabel often went to New York to see her friends, and Anna would stay then too. Isabel's parents, Allegra's grandparents, the Vanderholts, lived in New York. Her father was in the army. He wore a uniform and was very handsome. He went to faraway places and stayed a long time, sometimes even a year. He went to places like Libya and Liberia and Africa and South America. He only came home from time to time. When he was home, he worked at a place called the Pentagon. He hardly spoke to Allegra, and when he did, he never seemed to know what to say. He would ask her about school or tell her how much she had grown since he'd last seen her, which had always been a long time. Their voices in the kitchen sounded serious that day. Her mother wasn't laughing. Allegra heard her say that she was going back to New York. Her father asked her what she expected him to do with the child. He usually referred to her as the child and seldom used her name when he spoke about her, so she assumed the question was about her. He said he would be leaving again in 2 weeks. Isabel said that Allegra could stay at the house in Washington with Anna. She couldn't take a child with her. She was planning to stay with friends. Allegra's father said that was impossible. The child needed at least one parent with her, and Isabel said she wasn't going to be it. Allegra tiptoed away quietly, deciding it wasn't the right time to enter the kitchen. She was frightened and confused. Her heart was beating fast. If her mother was leaving and couldn't take her, and her father was going away again, and she couldn't stay alone in Washington with Anna unless she had a parent with her, what was going to happen to her? What did it mean for her? She hardly ever saw her paternal grandparents, and they were very old. Her mother had said her parents weren't an option either. Allegra went back upstairs to her room and sat on her bed with her teddy bear in her arms. His name was George. She had to wait for them to tell her where she was going. When she walked back to her room, Allegra saw her mother's suitcases lined up outside her bedroom. She'd seen her packing the day before. Her pretty dresses had been laid out on her bed. Allegra guessed that she was going to a party in New York. She always took a lot of clothes with her. But this time, she was taking even more.